Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3 guys, and today I'm gonna be giving you what if the Naruto universe had quirks, part 17. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over in the other channels. I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Dark Osusuke KK Genkai, so go ahead and enjoy that guys. And over in Anime Prince, I post a brand new movie of What If Godlike Naruto was sent to the Star Wars universe, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. And remember, for new yes 4 channels, link in description. So without further ado, oh yeah, don't forget to turn on the bell notification. What do you say we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now guys. So, the last part we left off, Naruto was captured by Konoha. He failed. After everything, he failed, as he was on his knees, beaten and broken. He was in a large open area. Around him was all the citizens of Konoha, as they watched, snarled and mocked him. He was left on the ground a mess, as his family was there. He was tied with chains, he could not move. Chains by his sister. His mother stood there with a snarl on her face, as Naruto could not do anything but wait for his fate, as Menma was the one to strike him down. He died, and found himself in a strange abyss, where a monster was there to devour his soul and bring it to unknown places. However, Naruto saw them, Kyo and Ame. They told him to wake up. He could not lose now. They told him to open his eyes. Open his eyes! Naruto's eyes snapped open, as he was in a tube, a test tube, a rather large one. Green liquid floating around, breather over his mouth, all sorts of tubes connected to his body. However, with a simple exertion of his power, the whole thing exploded. Earlier, Orochimaru was operating on something rather specific. It has been 2 years since Naruto had defected towards him, and over those 2 years, Orochimaru had pushed Naruto bounds. At the moment, Naruto was currently being pushed to another level. That is when Orochimaru felt a tremor as he rushed towards the room with Kabuto in tow to see Naruto. As he stepped out, stronger than ever. But that was not the only change that has happened in the past 2 years. The Namikaze family had a new member. Saya Namikaze, a little baby girl. Minato and Kushina were able to bond over this tragedy, and they brought forward a new daughter into this world. A precious young girl that was saved from all the crimes and misfortune that the family has done, that led astray one of their own. A lot of people over the Elemental Nation has changed over the past 2 years. Gaara was stronger than ever, and he wanted to get his revenge. Ever since his humiliating defeat at the hands of Naruto, his father did not look at him the same. People still show him respect, but it was less. Perhaps they think of him as weak. His mind was also making him think that as well. And Gaara did not like that one bit, thus he wanted to kill Naruto. Hearing that he defected from Konoha and now a missing in, there was no problem with him slaughtering him if he saw him. Kurosaki had only trained to get stronger over the past couple of years. Her rage was unending. Her face was a constant reminder of what happened when she had fought Naruto, and it would never go away. Her hate had just increased. Yes, everyone was on the lookout for him. Menma admitted was grown, as the both of them had did their own thing, reaching new heights with their quirks, and their overall control of the Fox power. Yes, they were ready for what the world has to throw at them. But there was not only that though. At the Hidden Rain, Misaka had also grown as well, turned into a beautiful young woman. As she had learned many things, and not to mention she had been in contact with Naruto. Their link had not separated. She had not told anyone this. As she talked to Naruto and she did not tell her parents or anyone else. She knew what her parents were gonna do. What they were gonna change the world, how they were gonna do it. And she knew that Naruto was doing his own thing. But she just hoped that he did not get mixed up with them. After all, she didn't want the Akatsuki killing Naruto if they saw him with Orochimaru. We then skip back to the base where Naruto was brought to a courtyard as Orochimaru called 1,000 of his ninjas to test Naruto's new abilities. Orochimaru had increased the rate of Naruto recovering after absorbing a quirk, also the potential that he gets out of it, the absorption of the person chakra. That is when Naruto displayed what he was able to learn over the past couple of years as he fought the 1,000 members, displaying several new quirks he had gained over the past couple of years. As Naruto had took on the 1,000 ninjas, Kabuto arrived as he watched the scene. Kabuto was worried. Kabuto saw something that his master was not focusing on, the threat that Naruto has become over the past couple of years. He had become a real dangerous threat. However, his master believed that he can handle it. But Kabuto was worried, as he saw that Naruto was able to demolish the 1,000 ninjas without even straining himself that much, just to show how much powerful he has gotten. And Kabuto was worried about that. As he watched Naruto demolish the 1,000 ninjas by himself. Once it was over, Kabuto was looking at Naruto with more suspicious gaze than usual as he watched him leave. Later that night, Naruto was pulled to the same space that he still had no idea where it came from or how they were connected. As Misaka was there, she has grown a lot over the past couple of years, as Naruto simply sat there and looked at her. He didn't understand why she kept on trying over and over again. However, she told him herself that since the moment they shared memories, since the moment they got connected, there was a strange bond between them that not even he could deny. As Naruto could not say anything because he knew that she was right. She told him that she didn't understand herself, and he must feel something as well. If she was wrong, he should say so, but Naruto could not say it because she was not wrong. After that, we had a time skip. A couple months passed by, as Naruto was on a mission for Orochimaru, when something really terrible happened. He ran into one of the worstest person that he could have met up with. It was none other than the Toad Sage, Jiraiya of the Sun himself, as they were in the same area. Now this was shocking, as Naruto never expected to see someone of his caliber here at all. It almost seems that this was a setup or something. As Jiraiya found him, it seems that the Sannin was looking for him. Well, given that he's one of Konoha's greatest enemies right now, that must be the case. But Naruto never expected this. It seems he would have to fight his way out of it. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the playset for yourself, so we jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. We begin this new episode with Jiraiya of the Sannin. Jiraiya got information from one of his most reliable sources. Information on Naruto. He knew where Naruto was. Jiraiya was a sensei of Minato, so of course, he knew a lot. He knew more than most people. Having seen the true depths that the world has to offer, Jiraiya had agreed with his student on several things. There were several things that Minato did not tell Jiraiya. Things that would make even his sensei look at him with shock on what Minato has done. Therefore, there were some things that he left out. Jiraiya knew that the relationship between Naruto and his family was never good. There was no bond, no trust between them. He rarely ever talked to Naruto. The kid seemed to see him as an enemy the moment he colluded with his family, the moment he spent time with them. So that ship was sailed. However, Jiraiya had not been in the village much. The changes that happened However, he did know about the quirks that Naruto stole. Minato was trying to recreate the quirks of the past that made Konoha one of the most feared nations. However, Naruto was able to get his hands on those. Minato told him that Naruto had someone that was working for him. The Uchiha family was still searching for the eldest, the next clan head, Itachi. He was nowhere to be found. There was no body, nothing. Itachi was just gone. It was like he vanished off the face of the earth. Jiraiya knew a lot, therefore he knew that Naruto had to return back to Konoha and face his punishment. There were certain things that the populace of Konoha could not know. They did this all to keep them safe after all. Jiraiya was a part of it as well, having been out on the road for years now, researching and studying other people's quirks and those who had been left behind. As at Konoha they would get a better life, where they can fight for the village and they can live a better life. Jiraiya had been a part of that group, finding these strays and bringing them to Minato. He believed that he was doing the just thing, the right thing. After all, if he did not take them, they would die. So of course it was the right thing. However, he turned a blind eye on what Minato was truly doing. Konoha has remained the strongest. Jiraiya saw the quirks were evolving. Quirks were getting stronger, the younger generations were becoming more deadly. When he heard that Naruto possessed a quirk to steal other quirks, he knew that there would be a problem in the future. But he never expected it to be this bad. For the past 3 years, almost, Naruto has been, well, missing. They had no idea what he was doing, they had no idea who he was with. They had no idea if he was even alive anymore. However, Jiraiya got a tip recently about Naruto being in a town. That is why we found the both of them in an awkward position, as Naruto looked at him surprised. Out of all the people that Naruto expected, he never expected to see the Sannin. As Jiraiya looked at him with a solemn look, he would not pretend like they were close, because he knew that Naruto would call him out on his bullshit. He's never really been there that much for Naruto. They've never talked that much. He could barely remember him talking to Naruto. The streets were filled with people. Jiraiya had no idea what Naruto was doing here. This was just a backwater common village. Nothing special, nothing too bad. People were going about their daily business. There was no ninja village nearby. There was barely any quirk users here. The Sannin was confused as he looked towards Minato's son. "I suppose you know why I'm here," said Jiraiya, as Naruto got over his surprise of seeing the man here. "You're here to bring me back," said Naruto as he started to walk. Naruto was on the right side of the road and Jiraiya was on the left, but they could hear each other quite clearly. "Yes, you've been gone for too long. It's time for you to face your punishment for what you did. And in doing so, you have to return back to the village. I'm sure they will take it easy on you. You are his son after all. Besides, do you even know that there's another addition to the family? Yes, you have a baby sister. And I'm sure that she would love to meet your big brother." "Trying to play on my sympathies," said Naruto. Jiraiya did not answer. "Well, I'm afraid you have none to play on," said Naruto. "You say I must return back to Konoha, but I assure you, you don't want me to do that. Because if I do, countless will die." Jiraiya clenched his fist at that. "I can't allow you to leave this place. I will not allow you to leave this place." He fixed his statement. "You're coming back with me whether you like it or not." Naruto analyzed the Sannin in front of him. This was a setup. The only person that knew about this was Orochimaru and his right-hand man Kabuto. Naruto had first come across Jiraiya in the forest near to this village, but that was a clone that had dispelled the moment Naruto saw it, returning back to its master. To get out of the forest, Naruto had to go through this village to get where he desired. He just came back from slaughtering 50 plus people After one of them decided to screw Orochimaru over, he got the necessary documents that Orochimaru wanted from him. He doubted that Orochimaru sent him here to die. After all, the Sannin still needs him, and think that he trusts him fully. They've been together for quite some time now, and he's been working for him, not showing any sign of misbehaving or disobeying. However, there was one person that did not take kindly to him. That was Kabuto. Kabuto feared him. He feared the prospect of his power. He was so protective of his master that he believed that Orochimaru was too blind to see what was truly going on, which he was. "How did you find me?" said Naruto, as he had walked in the village, knowing that Jiraiya would not dare to do anything while in here. Naruto was not afraid to fight him, but this was not what he expected. He did not expect to go up against a Sannin, and if he was going up against one, he expected to fight the Snake Sannin, not the Toad Sannin. He did not know much about his abilities. Well, there was some information that he knew. Jiraiya had a toad-like ability, given the web hands and the web feet that he possessed. Because of this ability, he had bonded great with the toads at Mount Miyamoku, becoming their summoner. However, the most troublesome thing was his poison. Naruto was sure that he could protect himself from it, but enough doses would even put him down despite his blood quirk ability. That was the most dangerous aspect of this man, and his unbelievable strength. Who would know that a quirk that's mainly focused on Toad would give you that amount of strength? Well, he supposed he should not be surprised. Toads and other animals like that are in tune to nature, which relatively made them stronger. And he was sure that he had more tricks up his sleeve, but he was not sure what all of them were. He knew that he could leap over buildings with one bound. His strength was inhuman, and his speed was, well, there was a reason why he was called one of the legendary Sannins. As Naruto asked him, "How did you find me?" "That's not important," said Jiraiya. "Come, let's go somewhere private and talk. I can help you in this. I can talk to Minato and help you to lessen your punishment, but there will still be a punishment. But death is off the table, because despite everything you are still their family. You are still an Namikaze." Jiraiya held out his hand. "It's over, Naruto," he said. "Just come back. And let's put this to rest already. I'm sure your new baby sister would like to meet you." As Naruto walked up toward the Sannin and looked cautiously toward his hand, Jiraiya was waiting for Naruto to take it, because the moment he did, he would poison Naruto. Not a poison to kill, but just to subdue, to bring him back to make sure that there will be no hassle. Jiraiya poison could paralyze a person. As long as he could hold you and pumped enough, there's not a single person that he could not paralyze. Even if you had a large amount of chocolate try and fight it, as long as he held on to you, he could paralyze you. And enough of his poison entering your system could kill you. As Naruto reached out to take the hand, the problem was Jiraiya might be above, causing chaos in this little village. However, Naruto was not. An ice dagger formed as Naruto drive it right through Jiraiya's hand. The speed that Naruto moved caught the man off guard. Jiraiya cried out in pain as the thing had tore right through his palm. But Naruto was not done as he pulled his fist back. When Jiraiya looked up, a fist connected, shattering his nose. He was blasted through a nearby stall, destroying it, sending people sailing as he crashed. Buildings after buildings. Naruto leaped up in the air as he landed on a building nearby. He jumped off said building. As he moved, his hands became covered. Tornado. As he fired them downwards. The Sannin was blasted, crashing through two more buildings. The buildings were not strong. They were incredibly weak. This village was not that rich. Jiraiya kept on skipping and knocking across the ground, but Naruto was not done. As he was still in mid-air, he held up his hand. A gigantic ball of flames formed. It was like a miniature sun as Naruto launched it downwards. Everything that he came in contact with started to burn. However, Jiraiya bent his knees as he shot off. His speed was crazy, as he was a clear distance away with just one jump. The whole place was burned to smithereens. Naruto had knocked Jiraiya right into the outskirts of the village. There was no one out here. If they were, they'd run away by now. Trees nearby. They were in a giant forest after all. The village was situated on the north side. As Naruto knew that Jiraiya got away from that, in an instant, Naruto felt something as he ducked. Jiraiya swung a brutal kick towards his skull that would have knocked him out if made contact. The force that came behind it was incredible. Once again, Naruto was reminded by the monstrous strength that this man possessed. He had to be. Naruto was cut off as Jiraiya slammed his foot in the ground, completely destroying it. As a large amount of debris was flying everywhere, Naruto had to cover his face. However, he sensed danger as he crossed his arms. Jiraiya's fist made contact. Naruto was blasted as he skipped off the ground at least 10 times before slamming into a tree. It cracked. However, Naruto pulled himself up. He looked at his hands that were bruised and trembling slightly. He sure did pack a punch. From what he knew, Jiraiya could assimilate the strength that he fired off with. Just like how he bent his knees and leap, he could pour the energy out in physical form and fire it off in his fists. As he bent his creases of his elbows. Once he did that, it was like bending his knees. His body was basically a giant toad, legs. And the punch that he packed behind it was incredible. With enough wind up, he could break almost anything. Another reason why he was a Sannin. Another reason why his name was legendary. As Naruto felt the tingling went away, the ground shattered as Jiraiya crash landed right in front of him. "I gave you your last warning, boy," he said. "I was not gonna do this hard way, but you forced my hand, and now I'll bring you back by force," said Jiraiya as he cracked his knuckles. He seemed to have snapped his nose back into the right position as Naruto saw blood still trailing down from it. He was tough, but he could still bleed. However, as Naruto reached up and tore off the remainder of the cloak that he had on, exposing what he was wearing, Naruto was wearing a jacket that was completely visible. Yes, his stomach and chest area was visible. The jacket was not long sleeve either. As Naruto needed accessible once he moved, his quirks were very, destructive. Majority of them were. Black pants he had on, and comfortable footwear that went all around like shoes, but they were soft, and they are made for quick movement. Well, the only way you're getting me back there is in a body bag, and I can promise you, I don't plan on dying anytime soon, said Naruto. "Oh, I'm not gonna kill you," said Jiraiya. "I'm just gonna break you and drag you back. You've hurt that family for long enough. I've hurt them. I won't even bother to argue with you. You're part of the problem, so you can go and screw yourself. And I can promise you, this fight will not end in your favor. You believe just because your title, you think you can take everything on. You have no idea what I've been doing for the last 3 years. You have no idea how prepared I am. You might have come here and caught me off guard a bit, but I promise you, you won't be there when I kill that bitch of a woman that calls herself my mother, and that narcissistic asshole that calls himself my father. Not to mention those 2 garbage children of theirs. I'm gonna erase them," said Naruto. Jiraiya was not even focusing that Naruto did not mention the last child, but that was not bothering him now. "You monster," he said. "I never thought that you would go this far. You will not list the reasons, so I will bring you back for proper judgment." With that, Jiraiya was done talking as he leaned over, like he was going into a running position. His legs bent as he broke the ground. The speed that he reached Naruto was insane. Naruto ducked as he felt the breeze whap past his face. The amount of force behind it. Jiraiya brought his knee up as Naruto blocked it. Naruto was pushed back. The Sannin grabbed Naruto by the back of his shirt and lifted him off the ground, despite Naruto's height. Jiraiya then grabbed Naruto by the sides and brought him down to slam his head into the ground. However, Naruto lashed out his arms and wrapped it around Jiraiya's neck, around the front, and yanked it backwards, placing the both of them in a strange situation. That was until Jiraiya bent his knees and leaped to the sky. Now airborne, he pushed Naruto off him. As he was ahead of him, above him, Jiraiya raised his leg in mid-air and dropped it towards Naruto's stomach. However, Naruto caught it, the force ricocheting out of him. That was until Naruto gathered the energy into his hand and released it, firing it up into the sky, therefore pulling Jiraiya down with him by the force. Jiraiya's back was smashed into the ground, creating a crater as he did. Naruto did not hesitate as he planted a feet in the man's chest. Jiraiya was sent skipping off the ground. However, he flipped and landed as he was upon Naruto once again. They traded blows. Jiraiya cursed as he watched his poison not getting in Naruto's skin. Naruto had covered his hands with ice each time Jiraiya hit. He broke them, but Naruto covered just as fast, as Naruto knew that he could not falter for just a second against this man. 1 second and he would be put in a very bad situation. Jiraiya was upon him once again, as the both of them clashed, trading violent blows. The ground was being ripped apart. Trees were being ripped apart. One miss from each of them was enough force to obliterate a tree. Upon making contact, so far Naruto has not used any of his other quirks, and that is because he had a reason. There was a reason why he was not fighting to his fullest. He was drawing Jiraiya out. He knew that there was something that Jiraiya else could do, something that made him greatly more powerful. Naruto was not sure what that was. He overheard talking something to do with nature energy. As Naruto jumped away from him, looking toward his arm, there was a nasty bruise. His lip was bleeding. There was a slash on his bicep. He also snapped his jaw back into place as he rolled it. As for Jiraiya, his right eye was starting to bruise up. Naruto had punched him there really hard. There was a gaping wound in his shoulder. However, Jiraiya was releasing a strange mucus that was covering it, and it was slowly healing. Naruto had stabbed him through the shoulder with an ice spear that had tore right into him. As the Sannin was slowly recovering, he was surprised. The thing was, he knew all that Minato told him about Naruto quirks. The scary part was Naruto had just used one, and that was the ice. Other than that, nothing else. Well, he did use that force thing that he released. He was building up kinetic energy inside his body. When he relaxed and he released it, not to mention he had a discharge power to release a cosmic amount of force on any surface that he touched. That quirk was useless in mid-air. However, on a land mass, it was very dangerous. But it seemed to mostly work with his feet, when he stomp or kick into something. Otherwise, it would not work. But there was more. He knew about the Senju Hoshirama clone. He knew about the Madara clone. Unfortunately though, Jiraiya did not know the third one. There was 3 clones that Itachi brought to Naruto, and Naruto had not emit any power of that. Not that Jiraiya would know that. Naruto had not even talked about it. There was a reason for that though. The Sannin rolled his neck. I must admit, you've gotten stronger. If only you would have listened and stayed in Konoha, you'd have been a great hit in the village right now. People would have praised you and respect you for your strength. Words, words, words. I don't want to hear your damn words, said Naruto. Nothing that you say will change my mind. Jiraiya sighed, fine. I'm ending this now. He brought his hand together before, forming a single hand sign before he slammed his hand down. The next thing Naruto knew, a gigantic toad appeared above him and came dropping down. Boom! It slammed down hard. Given the power that he held and durability that he had, Jiraiya was sure that that would not kill him, but it would be enough to knock him out. The green toad had two swords on his back. As Jiraiya looked towards him, "Gamahiro," he said, "thanks for the support." "What's going on?" The toad, now known as Gamahiro, said. "Why was I brought here?" "Well, I just had you sit on someone. With that amount of force, he should be..." "What is this?" said Gamahiro, cutting Jiraiya off. "What's wrong?" As Jiraiya was sure that Naruto was unconscious. A lot of his bones were probably broken. As Gamahiro felt something tingly. As he looked down, he tried to move, but it was too late. The toad went stiff, his eyes went wide. "Gamahiro, what's wrong?" Jiraiya asked, but the toad would not answer. That is when Jiraiya noticed blood leaking from its forehead. And it then finally erupted. Two massive tentacles, blue ones, electrified, burst out of its skull. They then pushed and ripped him apart. He didn't have time to reverse summon himself back home. The toad was torn apart. One dropped to the right and one dropped to the left. Jiraiya was shocked, baffled, as Naruto slowly pulled himself out, coated in blood, a vicious grin on his face. His right arm was a mess. It seemed to be crushed and broken in several places. However, slowly but surely the blood started to funnel back into his arm, and he snapped it back into focus, the bones seeming to have regenerated and fixed themselves. The blood was a big source of that. How? Said Jiraiya, not having any idea how Naruto was able to stop Gamahiro from squashing him out. How was he still standing back up and just have a broken arm after that? "I must say, that was one big ass toad," said Naruto. "Quite heavy as well. I did not plan accordingly, but I still came out on top, wouldn't you say?" Jiraiya then noticed something, a hole in the ground where Gamahiro had squashed. There was a miniature hole that a human body would fit in. Now he understood what happened. Naruto had been able to destroy the ground and drop down in it, but Gamahiro seemed to have came down too fast and crushed one of his arms. A part of Jiraiya believed that he would die from the attack. Yes, a part of him did believe so. Jiraiya wanted to spare the family from being the one to sentence Naruto to death and all chance of Minato copying anyone else's quirk had failed. Therefore, he didn't want Naruto's quirk to fall in the wrong hands. Eliminating him would be the best target after all. The Konoha ninjas were told to try and subdue him, but if not, they were to kill him. Minato did not want any secrets coming out. There were some things that not even Jiraiya knew, despite him being the man sensei. Danzo was a very dark and twisted individual. Even so, Minato trusted him to tell him more corrupted things that he has done for the betterment of Konoha, things that had tainted his very soul. They were so dark that he would not tell Jiraiya about them, his own sensei. However, Jiraiya was astonished by what he just did to Gamahiro. He was one of the great toads of Mount Miyamoku, and now he lay in two pieces. Rage, anger started to build in the Sanin as he just watched Gamahiro be split. And this boy stood there with a smile on his face. Jiraiya's fist clenched, his eyes squinted. "You're gonna pay for that," he said. His tone was dark and heavy. He slammed his hand together. A bright light encompassed his hand. Before poof, as two toads appear. When the smoke cleared, Naruto saw them. "Jiraiya boy, what is going on?" One of them seemed to be a male and the other one a female. One on left, one on right. "I need your help," said Jiraiya. The thing about Jiraiya toad quirk was, despite how similar it was to an actual toad, it had drawbacks. Because of his human side, Jiraiya could not naturally call upon nature energy. It was strange, but his toad side conflicted with his human side. When he tried it when he was younger, when he had first been a summoner of the toad contract, his body was mutating into something hideous. He was transforming into a toad, a mindless one. If he drew too much nature energy, his body would turn into a literal toad. A toad that would be out in the wild with no sense, no former knowledge. Just a blank, normal toad. No speech, no intelligence. It needed to be balanced, and Jiraiya could not balance it. Therefore, summoning Ma and Pa was the best way to do so. Over the years, he had made sure that he could summon them on a whim. His toad connection with them allowed to summon them a lot faster, especially in situations like these. The thing was, when Ma and Pa channeled nature energy through his body, Jiraiya's body could be magnified by 100. This was his ultimate trump card. Toad Nature Fusion. Upon fusing with Sage Mode, Jiraiya was able to amplify the nature energy coursing through him because his body was at complete balance. Upon doing that, his strength, reflex, speed, awareness, everything increased to the maximum degree, making his physical aptitude monstrous. To this day, despite all the experiments that Orochimaru did, when Jiraiya was in this mode, he was just as dangerous as a snake Sanin. Orochimaru was able to best him in the past because Jiraiya could not magnify himself to this degree, but now, well, he had become an old man, not suffering from anything because of age, but he had learned and grown, and therefore his strength, everything was beyond what they were when he was younger. His sheer presence was causing the nature around him to bloom. The trees start to grow more flowers. The earth started to crack as more small trees start to erupt. He didn't have any control over them. It was just the nature around him. So much coursing through his veins. His body started to take on a greenish hue. Green veins running all over him. Jiraiya boy, is that the toad on his right spoke up, which was Pa. Yes, that's him. He's become a threat. A greater threat than even I thought he could be. And he must be stopped, said Jiraiya. That is when Ma noticed. Is that Gamahiro? She said. His body was in pieces. Pa did not even notice. I'm afraid so. And he did this, said Ma. Yes. He's dangerous. We need to stop him here and now. You mean kill him, said Pa. It's the only way, said Jiraiya. He will be a threat to Konoha in the future. I can see it in his eyes. Nothing but death and destruction will follow his wake. That is why he needs to be stopped. Ma, eyes ardent. After all the things he's done so far, he will just become more and more of a monster. You're right, he needs to be stopped. Then let's do this, said Pa. As the both of them send more nature energy to Jiraiya. As Jiraiya released a breath, feeling the strength coursing through him. It's over, Naruto, said Jiraiya. A part of me wish I was the one to do this. To spare your family from the pain that they had to go through, knowing that they will have to be the one to kill you, so I guess this is the only way. As Naruto narrowed his eyes, not saying anything, feeling the amount of power. This was far more dense and stronger than normal chakra. The more Jiraiya walked, the more Naruto felt his body tingling. Hashirama quirk was coming to the surface, but not only that, it was causing all the other quirks inside him to, well, move. As he could feel his own body producing a lot of energy. The very essence from the nature was being absorbed into him. Unknowingly, Jiraiya was making him stronger, and he had no idea. In an instant, Jiraiya was gone. There was no movement, nothing. His speed was something that caught Naruto completely off guard. Naruto's face was bashed in. His body was sent sailing for yards. Jiraiya appeared above him, so fast, and crack his heel into his stomach. The ground exploded for a massive radius, everything being torn apart. Jiraiya raised his fist and dropped it in Naruto's spine, intending on ending this right here and now. If he could not move, it would be easier. Another indentation in the earth. Jiraiya shook the area with one blow as he grabbed Naruto's right arm and twisted before launching into the sky. The Sanin then held out his hand. As he created a Rasengan, however, it turned green. Yes, it turned green. Because of all the energy coursing through it, it turned green. And massive. Larger than the ball of fire that Naruto had thrown. Jiraiya then jumped as he was now above Naruto, moving at incredible speed. Naruto turned in mid-air, blood coming from his lips and nose. Jiraiya sunk the Rasengan into Naruto. It encompassed his entire body. An explosion followed, a violent tour in mid-air, causing an eruption of power. It was destructive and catastrophic. The whole place was destroyed. Jiraiya landed a distance away as he panted slightly. From moving so fast, everything was just so focused, everything was just so insane. However, his body was getting old, and therefore his quirk. It was no longer flexible 10 years ago, when he could do this for a longer period. But he could still keep up for a time. Are you alright, Jiraiya boy? Ma asked. Yeah, I'm fine, said Jiraiya. His features are more toad-like. His eyes had turned into a toad bar. He also had a large nose. His features looking more toad-like. It's over, said Jiraiya, as he moved towards the crater that he had sent Naruto in. However, to his shock, Naruto was alive. Jiraiya couldn't believe it. How is he alive? Paul said. Shock. Naruto was still alive as he pulled himself up, but not unharmed though. Naruto's vest was gone. His upper body was burnt. His skin was badly disfigured. The right side of his face was marred up. His hair was burned off. The only thing that was left on him was his pants, as his hands were simply hanging by his side. I never expected you to survive that, said Jiraiya. Let me end this and put you out of your misery. To their surprise though, Naruto started to laugh. They were confused, not understanding the laughing. I knew it, said Naruto. There was a sick, twisted smile on his face. I knew that you were hiding something this dangerous. I can see it now. You need those stupid toads on your shoulder to help you, coursing that energy through your body to control it. However, you don't have what I have. So once I gain that quirk of yours. As Naruto grinned, almost split his face. What are you talking about? Said Jiraiya. Do you really think there's a possibility of you winning? As he formed a miniature Rasengan in his hand that turned green. The power was just oozing out of the man. Naruto laughed some more. Super regeneration, he said. All the burn marks vanished. Naruto's arms snapped back in place. His legs, all of his injuries, quickly vanished within seconds. Naruto pulled himself up, fully to his height. I must say you caught me off guard, as his hair grew out. I never expected that speed. You caught me off guard there, but it will not happen again, said Naruto. Because now I know. Jiraiya appeared behind him, but Naruto turned and slapped away his hand before slamming a fist into his nose. But Naruto did not stop as he slammed one into his guts. The holes on the back of Naruto's elbow released a compressed bullet of air. It caused Naruto's hands to move at speeds that would normally rip anything apart with the amount of force that he released. But because of Jiraiya's body, it did not tore right through him. However, when they made contact, blood exploded out of Sanin's nose and mouth. He was sent sailing. Jiraiya crumbled on the ground as he crashed in a self-made crater. He coughed up blood, feeling pain all over him. Hold on, Jiraiya boy. We will handle it, said Ma as she sent the nature chakra to heal his wounds. Jiraiya was confused. What the hell was that? He thought that he bested him with his strength, his speed. How was he able to keep up? You want to know something, said Naruto, as he was walking towards him. All this time, I've been with Orochimaru. What? Said Jiraiya baffled. Yes, that's where I've been all this time. However, I don't trust him in the slightest, because I believe, well, his partner set me up. But I still don't trust him because he wants to use me. Therefore, I had to hold myself back. Constantly, working less than 100%. 50 to be exact. I've never pushed myself in front of him because I don't want him to know what I'm capable of. None of you understand, none of you could. But he created a monster, and I'm that monster. He helped magnify my body, unaware of the true potential that he has brought out. My rate of growing was slow, but I was still gonna get where I need. But he, in just 1 year, helped me to achieve something that I would not achieve in 5 years. That is how much growth I've received underneath him. However, I held myself back, so he will never know. No one know what I'm truly capable of. No one know the secrets I've been hiding. No one know the plans I've been making. And no one will until I'm ready, because you will die here, said Naruto. Jiraiya got back to his feet. I see clearly now, you're a monster, and you need to be killed. That's the only way I can save Konoha, and save the people of this world. If you are left to roam free, you will bring destruction and chaos. The great Toad Sage told me that there will be a being that will try to burn this world. The prophecy. I never thought you had anything to do with it, but now, seeing those look in your eyes, I refuse to let you go through with it. I don't care what the Toad told you. You can keep on babbling with your goddamn nonsense. I'm gonna kill you, said Naruto. Naruto's body started to behave strangely. His muscles started to ripple, as Naruto started to finally release the suppression that he had on his power. His quirk, used as a divider. Orochimaru did not know that Naruto could cut some of his quirks off, to not completely use them, to basically ban himself until he reactivate them. He also cut his strength as well, and the excess amount of chakra that he had gained from absorbing other people's quirk. Super regeneration was not even something Orochimaru knew about. He got that while he was out on one of his hunts. He got it in Kiri. There were things that he's done that Orochimaru did not know about. Things that he has gathered. After all, he did promise Itachi that he would take this world, and that he would fix it. And to do so, he needs to become a god. A person that can level armies, level nations. There was a reason why Minato feared anyone getting their hands on the third quirk. Back at Konoha, Minato no Mikaze had a bad feeling. He felt awful all of a sudden. His mind, remembering about the copy. After remembering that Naruto could take the copy's quirk and use it, seeing that the one remaining Naruto Anbu told him that Naruto was able to use the Mokidan and fire. That meant, the last one, there were 3 exquisite quirks. Oshirama quirk, Madara quirk. The DNAs that Minato had copied, but the third one was a very important person. There was a village, known as the Tokyo village in the Land of Fire. They got reports from Danzo's sources that there was a child that could not use his quirk, and that it was causing mayhem. At first they thought that it was some kind of transformation quirk. Upon the roots going there, none of them returned, because they were all killed. Tokyo village no longer existed. The reason being, Minato gave Danzo Roots the order to annihilate it. The village was small, not a lot of people, but that one child, it was a boy. His name was Toshinori. Toshinori had a quirk that was never seen before. Many people possessed strength quirk. Many people had quirk that were powerful and strong, but this quirk was something else. This quirk was different. It gave him physical attributes. that were beyond the normal level of humans. Minato and Danzo have summarized that if he was able to fully mature, he would be a god. With the amount of power, he would rule this world with an iron fist. They had dubbed the quirk All Might, because it was just mighty, overpowering, and destructive. The child was able to level an entire forest when he lost control with just a single blow. However, the problem was his body was being ripped apart as he did so. His body could not even handle his own quirk, and he was born with it. He needed to mature, but that did not happen. Danzo and Minato had came there. The boy had been subdued, and every record of him had been wiped away because the village was annihilated. Everyone there was killed, and the village was buried. Toshinori had been brought to Konoha unconscious. Many tests has been run on him. The child had tried to escape over 10 times. He was able to shatter the cuffs that restrained people quirks. The quirk was just like the quirk that Naruto possessed. It was two of the most dangerous quirk that was ever known on this world. Minato wanted to keep it on the wraps. However, they did too much. Toshinori's body had failed him, and failed him as well, because he ended up dying. But they had gathered his DNA and his cells. They had tried to replicate it, but all they created was a monster. A literal monster that could not use a quirk. And that was a big disappointment. Even after years, they had never reached a point of being able to replicate quirks. Not even Orochimaru could do that. He could only take over people's body with quirks. But at least he reached that far. Minato was worried. If Naruto got his hands on that quirk, if Naruto's body was able to mature and use that quirk at 100%, this village, they would have a big problem. He feared. He did not care about Hashirama's quirk. Yes, that was dangerous, and that was the reason why he was known as the most powerful Hokage, but still, Toshinori's quirk, at the age of 6 years old, the child was a monster. Because his quirk was still developing and at such a fast rate, they done tests, they saw the rate that he was developing at. If the boy was ever able to grow into his quirk, one punch could perhaps wipe out an entire city block like it was nothing. Just the Air Force alone. That was how powerful that quirk was. That is why Minato feared it. That is why he hoped and prayed that whoever helped Naruto did not get that. He prayed that it was destroyed in the fire. He never labeled it. He never wanted that DNA to leave that office. That is why Itachi could not find a label on it, because Minato never labeled that one. Madara and Hashirama quirk was labeled. And that was what Minato feared the most. And now he had a sinking feeling in his gut that something was terribly wrong. That something was really wrong. Meanwhile, back on the fighting scene, Naruto's whole body was golden. A golden cloak was over him, similar to what Jiraiya was releasing. Jiraiya's cloak was green, but Naruto was gold. Naruto's eyes also turned gold as well. It was strange. At first, he did not know what the third quirk was until 5 months into it, when he accidentally activated and turned a tree into dust with a simple flick of his hand. Since then, he had been learning and trying to control it. The quirk was hard to control. It seemed like a beast that was trying to get out. The amount of force behind it was terrible. However, he had time. Orochimaru though was the one that helped him the most by making his body more durable. And now, he could use a larger percentage of the quirk. That with his natural strength and speed. As Naruto's golden eyes were glistening with power, both him and Jiraiya moved as they met in the middle, their fists connected. As Jiraiya felt the pain behind the punch, he forced his nature energy towards his hands. That was the only way that he could survive this. Both him and Naruto's fists clashed once again, and they kept on punching their fists together. The shockwave was reduced in the air to nothing. Everything was being destroyed. Both men were throwing fists left and right. Jiraiya slammed a fist in Naruto's face as Naruto grinned, and slammed one back in his. Jiraiya staggered as Naruto moved in. They started to trade blows once again, until Naruto started to increase his power. His hair started to rise. It started to flare up. His eyes started to get even brighter. Jiraiya was baffled, as Naruto was able to blast him away with one kick to the stomach. "Jiraiya boy, we have to get out of here," said Ma. "He's growing in strength, and there seemed to be no stopping it. If he keeps on growing this way, you will die." "I need to stop him," said Jiraiya. "Just give me all you got." As both toads obeyed, after all, they were in a sticky situation. They closed their eyes as they funneled as much as they could. Jiraiya felt his body strained as he coughed up blood. However, the amount of power was intense. It felt like it was burning through him as he leaped forward. Both him and Naruto clashed once again. The area exploded in a bright white light. As both men traded blows in the center, the more they punched, the deeper they went as the ground was being destroyed. Violent blows, earthquake, violent eruptions. However, Naruto was only getting stronger and stronger, and he was not even using the other quirks. That was when Naruto's fist became enveloped in flames. The first one slammed into Jiraiya's gut. Another one uppercut him. Another one backhanded him. The Sannin staggered back, coughing up blood. He had damaged himself, too much nature energy. It was going overboard. "Jiraiya boy, you can't keep this up. We need to go." "I don't think so," said Naruto, as he held out his hand. He did not mention earlier, but with his quirk, known as All Might, all of his other quirks were amplified. All Might quirk was like the opposite of his, but at the same time, the perfect match. Naruto fired a compressed blast of air. Paw was slammed off Jiraiya's shoulder. Jiraiya cried out in pain as his shoulder had snapped back. "Paw!" Ma called out. Naruto had fired one of his tentacles. Jiraiya was unable to react in time. Ma was skewered as her body was ripped in half, the electricity burning through her. No noise, she just fell and dead. Jiraiya was shocked as he looked over at his shoulder, seeing blood. His eyes widened. That is when Naruto appeared. Both of his hands were clasped together as he dropped it in Jiraiya's skull. Boom! Jiraiya's skull cracked against the pavement, blood flowing down. Naruto kneed him in the face, broken his face even more. "Run," said Jiraiya, talking to Paw. Paw was looking at Ma as he looked at her body that was ripped in half. "Run," Jiraiya said. "Get back. Tell them what you've seen." Naruto grabbed Jiraiya as he threw him in the air. As Paw looked at Naruto as Naruto slammed his hands together. "I've wanted to try this for a long time now. I suppose I can use it on a Sannin." What followed? Horrified Paw as he looked to see a gigantic shadow illuminating over him. Paw stepped back in fright and fear. "Run," said Jiraiya, screaming out to him. "Get out of here," as blood poured from his mouth. "Tell them what you saw here. Give them everything you saw. Go now!" Paw saw a tentacle coming towards him as he quickly poofed away. Horrified by that scene, the area that he once was destroyed. Screams of Jiraiya could be heard. Screams of anguish, pain, and suffering, whatever Naruto did. It was catastrophic and monstrous. The shadow was still looming over the area. Slowly but surely, something dropped to the ground, like an anvil. Naruto returning back to his normal form. His eyes returning back normal, his hands dropping to his side. There was a grin on his face. What lied in front of him was the remains of Jiraiya. Jiraiya's body had been crumbled up into a ball. Bones were poking out of all over his body. His bones, to be exact, tearing out of the flesh, because of the way his body was bent and twisted. Jiraiya was a mess, his body was completely destroyed. The last life that he had slipped away from him, as he was nothing but a pile of garbage meat right now, flesh and bones. As Naruto kicked it, I told you, this day will end with your death. As Naruto looked toward the spot where Ma had been killed and where Pa had been standing, that toad escape, Naruto thought to himself. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit. Because it's time he finally made his move. He was going to kill Orochimaru. After this. Yes. Kill Orochimaru and gather what he can. What he was planning on getting at the sound. There were certain quirks that he could not get his hands on because of his so-called loyalty to Orochimaru, but now he wanted them. He wanted them all. However, Naruto clenched his fists as he felt Jiraiya quirk coursing through him. Of course he absorbed Jiraiya quirk when he was crushing him to pieces. He could not let it slip away. With All Might's quirk and Jiraiya's quirk and his body enhancement quirk, Naruto chuckled darkly to himself. Soon, there will be nothing that can stop him, he thought to himself. Nothing at all. However, Naruto was unaware of what Minato was planning. Itachi had killed the kids that were being used by Minato, knowing that they were used for dire purposes, and that their life was just going to be battle and war. However, not all of the kids were in the room in Konoha. Konoha was not the only facility, and it was not the largest. Unknown location. There was an entire massive area underground. Deep underground. Inside of this place was countless individuals. Hundreds of children had been missing over the past couple of years. No one knew where they went. No one was the wiser. No bodies were ever found. However, those kids were taken and manipulated. While they could not steal their quirk, Minato and Danzo had developed a drug to enhance one's quirk. Said drug would be catastrophic on the mind and body. The mind would become so broken that the person would become a tool, and that was what they want. The drug also enhanced their quirk to a ridiculous degree, making them beyond powerful. Therefore, Minato had his army. His army of soldiers that will do whatever he say, run into anything that he say. An army that could not be stopped. But guys, we end episode right here. For next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.